Well, welcome back to another episode of The High Ground. I'm Reed, and joined us is a very special guest, Will Campbell. Will is a teacher in Indianapolis. We used to work together, filling in something like that. Matt is unfortunately not with us at the moment, but I think he's currently dealing with a personal issue, but hopefully he'll be on a little bit later to join us. But today's topic, we decided to shift gears a little bit to where Will, if, I'm sure he can show off his tattoos later, but is of the utmost, even more so than myself and Matt, the biggest Star Wars nerd probably this side of, Indiana. But so today, what we're going to try to do is completely, he told me beforehand and maybe a couple ideas, but without any prompting from me or him, he's going to be throwing out some random Star Wars what ifs, situationals, maybe deeper thought questions that, kind of dive into and just kind of explore things and kind of just take it from there and see where it goes. All right, Will. So what do you got first on the list?
I think I'm going to start with probably one that I anticipate digging you the deepest.
Oh, I'm terrified now.
Disney did not ruin Star Wars. Let me elaborate. I see your initial reaction there.
Sure.
Star Wars has a riddled history of successes and failures. Did Disney highlight more failures and successes? Sure. But we have Andor, which I'll argue is the best of Star Wars since the original trilogy. Versus name a failure, lots of failures. But Disney did not ruin Star Wars. Reaction, go.
Well, I think just kind of my gut reaction is, jerk to the left just a little bit. But, after putting more than about 3 seconds of thought into it, unfortunately, my analytical side of my brain kind of takes over. And I would agree. In saying that they destroyed Star Wars, they ruined Star Wars, it's a very broad statement. It's a very, all-encompassing. It's like saying, when you tell, kids at younger age, hey, don't say the word hate, because it's a very strong word. All right. What I was saying, as far as a few different gems in the post-Disney takeover of Star Wars and LucasArts in general, I would say definitely Andor. I think we can both agree The Mandalorian I would say 95% of it. I can't. It's hard for me to argue the most recent season where it got a little. There's a few episodes that kind of got a little iffy for me, but overall good show. Ahsoka, I think is definitely solid, especially with them bringing back Hayden Christensen and Kenobi. So
next season,
I'll tell you what. Let's maybe we could agree to draw the line on this. For the most part, we could say the shows, yes. The feature-length movies, maybe not so much.
Yes, and so that leads me into. I have two more points that relate to this, and you've kind of touched on them already. So first, Dave Filoni is a better creative director of Lucasfilm and Star Wars than George Lucas ever was.
In what way?
I think that he is I think to a certain extent, George Lucas. So George Lucas obviously is the creator of Star Wars, and we would not be here without him. However, there were many factors that had George Lucas not gotten lucky with certain editing and just time period and Star Wars becoming a social phenomenon, he would not have been as successful. Whereas Dave Filoni has taken the flame that George Lucas started and has created a bonfire, or is creating a bonfire.
What about him and John? Do him and Jon Favreau work hand in hand, or they just do two different things?
Jon Favreau, to my understanding, is a person that Dave Filoni relies on quite a bit and gives directions, has run with this, because Jon Favreau is also very much a person that can be trusted with Star Wars lore and Star Wars direction and content and creation. But Dave Filoni is the creative head of that, and I think that he is the better person for that than George Lucas. But you mentioned the sequel trilogy. I think the sequel trilogy was failed from the beginning. Any attempt of them going down the Skywalker saga was just going to be messy in some way, shape, or form. And I think the best Star Wars content these days comes from stories outside of the Skywalker saga. It has to be.
Well, to that credit, I mean, the thing is, I think they tried way too hard when they didn't need to because of all the existing canon material, whether it be through the books, the novelizations, and everything. I mean, they had to rename the whole thing the Legend series, which fuck that. But then you had, the whole storyline of the Heir to the Empire, which I thought was if you ever read the books, it's a fucking phenomenal read. The whole Thrawn series, the, bringing in of Mara Jade, that whole thing is just beyond epic. And to see even just them try to put that into film, I think would have been head and shoulders a lot better. And I think that's definitely a big one where Disney failed and they tried to, and you consider and speculate as to what reasons, whether that they tried to do something similar, like when they did episode 1. They tried to bring in a younger audience by integrating characters like Jar Jar Binks and shit. Maybe they were trying to appeal to a wider audience with the new characters or something or other. But, we still went and saw it. We still, like seeing Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher again. But unfortunately, I think overall it's kind of just a wasted trilogy.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. It was going down I hate to use the term beat a dead horse because it's not like it was a dead horse, but the part of the reason why I love the Star Wars universe is that it is an endless universe of stories, right? Yeah. Anyone can come in and tell a story within that universe and take it in any direction they choose and fit any narrative and tailor it to any audience.
Sure.
The Skywalker saga is what led us into the Star Wars universe, but continuing on that storyline only leads to audiences nitpicking. This leads into another hot take I was going to bring on. The Star Wars fan base is, at least online, one of the worst fan bases ever. In person, every in-person experience I've had with Star Wars fans, and I've unfortunately never been to a Comic-Con, but I've always heard
we got to go.
Comic-Con experiences that like Star Wars fans are welcoming and accepting of everyone. But online, Star Wars fans are the first to be the worst of haters. So continuing down the Skywalker saga was only inviting hate.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that, if you look back on it, it's like, okay, the first one was just a rehashing of A New Hope. The second one, I was sitting there the very first time I watched it, halfway through the movie, it's like they are literally trying to combine Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi in the exact same movie in this whole setup. And it's like they never really fully explained what Snoke was. Then, okay, I feel like once they got to the end of the second one and they started seeing the fans' reception to it, they tried to, redeem it with the third one, which, if you're going to rank the three, I would argue is the better, but it's just, I don't know. The first time you see Kylo Ren throw a temper tantrum, and it's just like, okay, I can't take this guy seriously. And it's like, this is supposed to be the main villain, this arc. It's like, what? Just stop.
So there's another hot take that I don't necessarily subscribe to, but
sure.
I understand the argument for, is that Kylo Ren is actually a better written villain than Vader was.
How so?
So the argument that I've heard is that he has more depth to him. He has more range of character. He has more character arc than Vader. Vader is a classic bad guy villain because he is mysterious, he is dangerous, and he is he has the aesthetic of a bad guy, right? But when you look at the arc of a character, Vader doesn't have much arc. He has consistency, which is bad guy, badass, right? Which you gotta love.
Sure.
But if you're looking into the makings of a character, Kylo Ren certainly has that arc, and especially through the films, he ends up bringing it back, like, I guess, kind of like Vader, bringing it back to redeeming himself, coming back to. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one, but that's, I think, also because I grew up, like, I grew up in the same age as the prequels, so I saw Vader's rise to come.
Right.
So that brings a different perspective into things.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can give it a fair shake in this regard. So you're not wrong in the sense of there's a lot more depth with the character. There's a lot more, so naturally the audience can relate to the character a little bit more. But with that being said, it creates a problem. So by making Kylo Ren the main villain and humanizing him in that way, you essentially eliminate the archetypal like evil in the story. Because if he's like the pinnacle of evil on the opposite side that the whole story is fighting against, but he's not there. He's like this character, like, oh, he's relatable. I could be blah 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 blah. It's it's almost like he needs a solid like boss. And I'm sorry, Snoke wasn't cutting it. Like if you would have had like if you would have, I mean, I don't know how they could have done it correctly, if they could have done it at all, but if you would have had Palpatine from the beginning as like, okay, pulling the strings right there with him, maybe that's not the right way to go, but like I said, if he's the pinnacle of evil on the opposite side, it just doesn't cut it. And so therefore it leaves it throws the balance out of whack, even just as far as storytelling goes.
Well, but another reason why the sequel trilogy was shit was because they didn't really have a whole, like, they should have mapped out their whole story from the beginning and said, like, before we start any movie, let's make our, like,
sure.
Because Snoke was originally set up as this bad guy, and then Snoke ended up being a fucking nobody. And then they set up Rey as like a who is Rey, and then they set up as like Rey is possibly nobody. And then in the last movie, they tried to tie that together with Snoke was like a puppet clone of Palpatine, which, by the way, Palpatine returned, and
no idea
Rey is secretly Palpatine's granddaughter. Like, I don't know. It's just, I mean, my original point is that, like, any path down the Skywalker saga was a doomed path, because even if it followed popular storylines within Legends and within canon or whatever, it would have received a certain extent of hate and criticism.
Sure.
Any new Star Wars content, in order to be successful, has to be outside of the Skywalker saga, and I would argue should be outside of the Force and lightsabers, which we can talk more on that in a minute. But
it's almost like what they did with Rogue One, how there's a little bit there in the background, but it was mainly focused on not that.
100%. And Andor is another perfect example. Andor is outside of the Force and does not have lightsabers involved with it. And it is, I think, the best Star Wars content to come out of it since the original trilogy. And like Skeleton Crew, not my type of show, but like pretty good show for the age group and the demographic it was shooting for.
I think so. And the problem is I got about halfway through the first episode and I turned it off. But once again, I'm like you just said, it probably wasn't meant for me.
Not a show for us. That is a galactic Goonie type show. Not Goonie. What's the?
Oh, it's pretty much like Galactic Goonies. Yes.
Galactic Goonies. Yeah. Which, like, for the demographic that is shooting for, great goddamn show. But like, I don't know. Outside of the Force, outside of lightsabers, that's where new Star Wars content lies. And it's such an expansive universe that you can tell any story you want to. So, what would be a story you would tell in the Star Wars universe? What direction would you take?
Say that one more time. I just had to flip the audio again.
What is if you were given creative control, Dave Filoni gives you a call, says, "Hey Reed, what Star Wars show can you pitch? Go."
Honestly, once again, completely biased, but completely give Thrawn his own series.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, once again, completely biased, but I mean, this is literally chalk this up to being bored on deployment. I ended up buying a lot of digital Star Wars books, and so I ended up reading pretty much every what's his name, Timothy Zahn, who published a lot of them. Yeah, pretty much reading everything he ever wrote on the guy, and it's just as a character, it's so dynamic. It's such a making him like okay that others that good versus evil, whatever, he can hold that down by himself, but it's a strategic evil, it's a tactful evil. I mean, I even got so deep into reading is like in the previous canon, the whole reason there's this big debate between Thrawn and what's his name, Tarkin, to where they're trying to decide, okay, where are we going to allocate all the Empire's resources towards building the Death Star? But Thrawn was like, no, that's probably not the best idea in the world because you're putting all your eggs in one basket, as opposed to putting it more into your Navy and developing the what's the TIE fighter that has like 3 wings on it? It's like the
TIE Interceptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, where he's like, okay, don't put all your eggs in that basket, work on expanding your fleet so you can control more. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's hard to argue with, the guy's logic. I mean, it even hits me from the military side too, because he's, there were several instances in the various stories where he'll have this like subordinate, fucking up or make mistakes. Whereas Vader would have just choked the motherfucker out. He walks up to, a young guy and says, "Wait a minute, did you make that call? Did you do that?" "Yes, sir." "Huh. Well, given the information you had, that actually was a really good call. It just didn't work out this way. So, good job." He fucking walks away. And it's like, you know what? He's supposed to be the bad guy, but I fucking like the guy.
Yeah, it's Pelion is his right hand guy in the Sound series. So I don't remember last time we got together and had some in person beers. Told me about the Thrawn trilogy series, and
you cracked it open?
I have. I've finished the first book. I'm about halfway through the second.
Wait, which one? The actual one, like the Thrawns or like the Heir to the Empire ones?
Heir to the Empire.
Okay, yeah, it's addictive fast.
It's taking me some time because I'm not a reader and I'm making my way to be a reader. But luckily, I mean, the chapters are short, so it's super easy to like sit down for 15 minutes, hit a chapter, put it away, go do some other shit. But yeah, no, like the scene you exactly described, like Pelion is like makes a mistake and like assumes like, cool, I'm getting killed right here, right now.
My guys.
And Ron goes like, "Yeah, sorry, buddy. It didn't work out for you, but don't fuck up again."
Well, it's like there's I want to say there's like a total of like, in addition to those, there's like either 6 or 9 other ones that are just focused on him. And there's some of them where it's like he's going toe to toe with Vader, like not like, they're both coming up and they're both trying to, do their jobs and prove their worth, and, just a clash of personalities. And, Vader will try to be intimidating and whatnot. And then he'll just pull out, "Well, Lord Vader, actually, tactically, here's the right way to do it, blah, blah, blah." And just, just waiting for Vader to lose his shit. But he's like, "Very well, we shall see how it works out," or some bullshit like that. And it's just like, this guy's going toe to toe with this motherfucker.
Thrawn was supposedly the only one in the Empire that knew that Vader was truly Anakin Skywalker, or was Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
Which is an upper hand that you hate to have on Vader. Vader hates to have anyone on him, but
I'd say right along that, I think another, maybe not a full series, but even maybe a mini series on Tarkin. So when you look at it, there's really not much. He doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, but also I think there's only like one book in the expanded universe where it's kind of somewhat focuses on him. But just as a character, I'd say he's pretty interesting.
So, quick fun fact, and then another Thrawn question for you. in the original trilogy, every scene that you see Tarkin in, he is wearing like, this is before the time of Crocs, but he's wearing like slippers.
Yeah, it's
because
like
he was just
moccasins.
Yes, he's just like, you're not going to see below my hips. I'm going to be fucking comfy, and I love that for him.
That's real
How
life.
do you think Thrawn has played out in live action? Because like while Ahsoka Tano is the namesake of the show,
Sure.
especially season 2, this is kind of getting what you're asking for, is a Thrawn-centered series, right? Thrawn is a center of this show. So how do you think he's playing out so far in live action?
Honestly, I thought it was spot fucking on. That first intro scene where he's just walking up, I thought the chanting maybe was slightly much, but just the opening line, fuck, what was it? What was once just a dream has become a frightening reality for those who oppose us. And it's like just always this controlled, just it's intimidating on just a totally different level to where he doesn't have to try to be scary or any of this. It's cool, it's calculated. And then it's 20 minutes in that episode where he captures them and says, okay, I'm gonna honor my deal. I'm going to let you go. Here's his coordinates. Here, I'm gonna give you a fucking thing to ride off into the sands. It's like, once they take off, it's like, okay, we're just gonna fucking leave him here. Fuck him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I cannot wait to see Thrawn come into his just everything that Thrawn could be in this next season of Ahsoka.
I think I could be wrong, but I thought they said that it's the same actor who did the voice for Thrawn in the animated series. It is?
It is, yes. Which initial criticism said, like, he doesn't look enough like Thrawn, because Thrawn is, at least up until this point, been shown as like a very slim-figured man.
Sure.
Especially in the face, right? And the voice actor, he's Norwegian or Swedish or something like that. So I'm not even gonna try his name.
I don't
know. But he's the same guy that did the voice. And I do not subscribe to the criticism of like he doesn't look enough like Thrawn. Like if it's a live action versus animated, there's always going to be a look difference.
If you really want to give him shit, you got to realize this guy's got to be like 50 in the timeline by now at a minimum. Yeah. It's like, okay, he's not going to be fucking, yeah.
And I love the fact that the guy doing the voice is the guy doing the live action, which I don't think is going to be the case.